Chapter 222. Getting out of the martial city, Yichen jumped up and landed on the chain. He did not need to look back to know that Yuan Zongbua and the rest had followed him. Since they were outside of the martial city, they could just follow him without worrying about being discovered. Come on. You will regret it soon. Before coming out, Yichen had scanned with his soul power and knew where the 5 of them were. Yuan Zongbua and Mr. Jin were still the same, and their power would not increase by much. The 3 new people did not give Yichen any sense of danger either. Individually speaking, they were not even as powerful as Yuan Zongbua or Mr. Jin. With Yichen's power right now, it would be easy for him to take on 5 old late-clasping Yuan realm warriors. But it would be a bit difficult to make them all stay. Shoo! His body lengthened as Yichen appeared on the other side of the chain extremely fast. Soon, he disappeared without a trace. Hurry up. Don't let him get away. Yuan Zongbua was extremely worried. He hated Yichen to the core. If he did not kill him with his own hands, it would affect his training in the future. The leader of the Wolf Head Mountain sneered, "The gravity in the heavy mysterious mountain is abnormal. He is only an early clasping Yuan realm warrior, and he wants to run away." The 5 of them split into 2 groups and chased after Yichen from the other side of the chain. In the distance was a dense forest. Because of the gravity, the trees here were different from the outside world. There were no dozens of meters tall trees. Most of the trees were less than 10 meters tall, but they were surprisingly thick. It would take dozens of people to wrap their arms around them. The leaves were so thick that it covered everything in the forest. Looking from the outside, one would not be able to see anything. Good place. Yichen purposely slowed down a bit. When his soul power sensed that the 5 of them were not far away from him, his body flashed and disappeared into the forest. Yuan Zongbua was furious, such a cunning brat. Mr. Jin laughed, "This forest is not that big. He might be able to get in, but he will not be able to get out." That's right. We, the 3 brothers of Wolf Head Mountain, live in the forest. The more complicated the environment, the more advantageous it is for us. Originally, we only wanted to kill him, but since he ran into the forest, let's play with him. Don't you think the game of hunter and prey is very interesting? Hearing him, Yuan Zongbua calmed down a bit, and thought to himself, "Looks like I have been too cautious. The reason why that brat could beat me last time was because I was too careless and got tricked by him. But now, I won't be tricked again. Plus, we still have Mr. Jin and the 3 brothers from the Wolf Head Mountain." Whoosh! 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 The 5 of them did not slow down and directly rushed into the forest. Let's split them up first. With 5 of them together, it's very likely that some of them will run away. Yichen was not afraid of Yuan Zongbua and the other 4 ganging up. What he was afraid of was that once he exposed his true power, the survivors would know that they were no match for him and would run away immediately. Plus, his flying art was not that much better than the 5 of them. Chasing after 1 or 2 of them was already his limit. Killing all of them here was not realistic at all. His body shook a little as Yichen created a Jinqi shadow. Together with his real body, they both ran in 2 different directions. Yuan Zongbua, who had rushed over first, froze. The forest was too dark, plus Yichen's extremely fast movements. It was impossible to tell which one was real and which one was fake. "Brother Yuan, us 3 brothers from the Wolf Head Mountain will go this way. You and Mr. Jin will go for the other one. Once there is any movement, we will meet up immediately," the leader of the Wolf Head Mountain said. Mr. Jin nodded. "This forest is only 10 miles in radius. If there is a battle, we will be able to sense it from far away. There should not be any mistakes." "Alright, let's go." Yuan Zongbua thought about it and agreed, so he and Mr. Jin chased after the Yichen on the right side. The 3 brothers looked at each other and laughed. Eldest brother, second brother, since Yuan Zongbua and Mr. Jin are taking this guy so seriously, he must have some kind of treasure on him. Why do we have to join hands with them? Let's just kill them and take their storage rings. Ha, third brother has the same idea as me. We three brothers from the Wolf Head Mountain are always together. I don't think Yuan Zongbua and Mr. Jean would dare to do anything to us. If he dares to, if it were not for the fact that Mr. Jean is with him, I would kill him as well. There is still a chance. Let's catch up with that brat first. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. The three of them had their own plan as they chased after the Yi Chen on the left side. Although the forest was not that big, because of the thick trees, they could not push their speed to its limit. The three of them, one in the front and one in the back, avoided all the obstacles and chased after the Yi Chen. Brat, where do you think you are going? The third brother from the Wolf Head Mountain shook his wrist, and a palm-sized shuriken shot out. It was as fast as lightning. It brushed past the trees and hit the Yi Chen's body. Boom! Yi Chen's body was shattered into pieces, disappearing completely. So it was a fake. What bad luck. Yuan Zongbua and Mr. Jean should be chasing after the real one. The second brother looked disappointed. Second brother. Second brother. The eldest brother and the third brother looked at the back of the second brother in fear. In the dense forest, a sword light that looked slow but was actually very fast was stabbing towards them. It was only a flash, but it had already pierced into the second brother's back. You killed my second brother. I want you dead. The eldest brother of the Wolf Head Mountain roared in anger. The muscles on his right arm expanded, making a cracking sound. Right after that, he stepped out with his left foot and threw a punch towards the source of the sword light. That punch was extremely powerful. Before the fist power arrived, the fist wind had already arrived. The air was pierced through within a second, forming a transparent tornado. Crack! A huge hole appeared on the big tree, which was pierced through by the fist power. The edge of the hole was in a spiral shape. Obviously, that fist power contained a very powerful twisting power. The second one. Yi Chen appeared on the left side of the eldest brother, stabbing out with his sword. So fast. That was the only thought in the eldest brother's mind. With one sword attack, Yi Chen looked at the third brother of the Wolf Head Mountain. The expression of the third brother of the Wolf Head Mountain had changed a couple of times, from anger to shock, and then to fear. There was only one thought in his mind, which was to run, as far as he could. Yi Chen was way too horrifying. Not only had he killed the second brother with one sword attack, he had also killed the eldest brother with one sword attack. The speed of his sword attack was something that he had never seen before. He had never seen such a fast sword attack before. Ghost Shadow Steps. The strongest part of the third brother was not his martial skills, but his flying art. This Ghost Shadow Steps was a mid-rank Earth Realm martial art. Relying on it, the three of them were able to easily surround and kill those lone warriors who were good at flying art but had average strength. Right then, he performed his Ghost Shadow Steps without caring about anything else. His body was like a ghost, flashing in the dense forest. Within a blink of an eye, he was already hundreds of meters away. Competing with me in movement art? Yi Chen touched the ground with the tip of his foot and his body turned into a shadow. He suddenly appeared on top of a big tree on the opposite side, and when he looked again, he was already on another big tree. He kept flashing, appearing and disappearing, and no one could tell where his real body was. Hearing the wind blowing beside his ears, the third brother let out a sigh of relief. He had finally escaped. The Ghost Shadow Steps was indeed a mid-rank Earth Realm martial art, as it was like a fish in the water in a complicated environment. However, thinking about the death of the eldest and the second brother, the third brother's heart skipped a beat. He swore that once he got back to the martial city, he would hire a powerful warrior to kill Yi Chen, even if he had to spend all his money. Boom! All of a sudden, the big tree in front of him started to shake, and the leaves started to fall. Run! The third brother was shocked, and he turned around and started to run. Do you think you can run? The fallen leaves were bounced away by his Zhenqi layer. Yi Chen's body started to move. The sword light in his hand was like a poisonous snake, full of killing intent. If we are going to die, let's all die together. The third brother had seen Yi Chen's sword art before, and he knew that once he was within 1 meter of him, there would be no chance for him to escape. So he decided not to back out, and instead, he waved his hand, wanting to shoot out all of his shurikens, piercing his opponent like a beehive. Shoo! However, just as he lifted up his hand, Yi Chen had already taken back his sword. It was not that he had failed, but that he had taken back his sword after he had succeeded. Because as his star scar sword had been taken back, a blood light suddenly exploded from the third brother's heart, and a huge amount of his life force had been drained away. So it is not him who is fast, but me who has slowed down. Until the moment of his death, the third brother suddenly realized that Yi Chen's sword was actually not that fast. The moment he threw out his sword, the distance between them seemed to have been stretched out endlessly, creating the illusion that he was still very far away. This illusion made him relax a little bit, and it was precisely because of this slight moment that he relaxed that his opponent's sword suddenly stabbed out, as if it had broken through the limitation of space and ignored the distance. Even though he was already dead, the third brother's body still maintained its original inertia, crashing heavily into the big tree in front of him. I have been seen through. Unfortunately, it is already too late. Yi Chen looked a bit surprised. The mysterious part of the lone peak kill was to confuse his opponent's sense of space. It was already very close, but it made his opponent think that he was very far away. It was so far away that there were still mountains and rivers between them. No matter what, it would be impossible for him to attack within a second. By the time he got close, his reaction would not be able to keep up anymore, and he could only watch himself get killed. Waving his right hand, the third brother's storage ring fell off automatically, shooting into Yi Chen's hand. Now it is time to take care of Yuan Zongbua and Mr. Jin. Scanning with his soul power, Yi Chen soon found the other two's tracks. They were running towards him at an extremely fast speed. Brother Yuan, I suddenly have a bad feeling. While flying, Mr. Jin frowned, and his speed slowed down unconsciously. Yuan Zongbua was confused. What? Do you think that brat could kill the three brothers of the Wolf Head Mountain with his own power? Before, he had to run away when facing the two of us. The combined power of the three brothers would be even more powerful than us. Mr. Jin said, you are right, but it is better to be safe than sorry. Then what do you think we should do? We can't just do nothing, can we? Maybe I am thinking too much. Let's go. Mr. Jin had thought about all kinds of possibilities, but he did not think that there would be any accidents. After all, the power of the three brothers was still there. No matter how powerful Yi Chen was, he would not be able to kill the three of them easily. It was probably because of the injury from last time. Getting rid of the thoughts, Mr. Jin increased his speed and pushed his Jinqi layer to its limit. Chapter 223. On top of a huge tree, Yi Chen was hiding in the lush green leaves. His legs were slightly bent, and his body was leaning forward, seeming to be accumulating power. He held the sword handle with his right hand, ready to attack. His pair of sharp eyes were closed as he used his soul power to sense every movement of Yuan Zongbua and Mr. Jin. Without any surprises, they would fly past him in 3 breaths' time, which would be the best chance for him to kill them with one attack. Shoo! Shoo! The two had arrived. Mr. Jin was on the left, and Yuan Zongbua was on the right. There was a distance of 4 to 5 meters between them. Strange. Why is there no movement? Did that brat run away? His body was wrapped in the Jinqi eagle as Yuan Zongbua sent a Jinqi message to Mr. Jin. Mr. Jin said, this brat is very cunning. He will not be killed that easily. I hope we can make it in time. Yeah. The three brothers have never fought with him before, so they might be a bit careless. But it's good this way. It will save them the trouble of laughing at us. The two were extremely fast. Soon, they arrived under the tree where Yi Chen was. Now is the time. Yi Chen kicked his legs and took out his star scar sword. The sharp blue sword light pierced through the leaves, appearing in front of Mr. Jin within a second. My life is over. Mr. Jean let out a desperate roar. The next second, his head had already been separated from his body. Blood splashed out 3 meters high. Mr. Jean. The sword light was too fast. Yuan Zongbua did not even have the time to blink before Mr. Jin's head had already flown into the sky. It's your turn. His body passed by Mr. Jin's dead body as both of his feet landed heavily on the hard ground. He kicked hard on the ground, and his Jin Qi shot out. His whole body was like a beam of light that had been shot into a mirror, bouncing towards Yuan Zongbua. Yuan Zongbua had goosebumps all over his body. The sword art that Yi Chen had just performed had scared him. It was too fast and too sharp. Even Mr. Jean did not have the time to react. Honestly, if it were him, he would not be able to dodge that sword attack either. What was even scarier was that he suspected that the 3 brothers had all been killed by Yi Chen, just like how he had killed Mr. Jean, 1 sword attack for each. Run! His confidence had turned into the deepest fear. Yuan Zongbua pushed his Jin Qi and crazily poured it into the Jin Qi Blood Eagle. The Blood Eagle flapped its wings, bringing Yuan Zongbua into the sky above the forest, shooting out like lightning. Puchi! The Star Scar sword had only cut down a small piece of Jin Qi outside of Yuan Zongbua's body. Yi Chen frowned as he landed on the thick tree. This guy was indeed the most troublesome one out of the 5. Not only did he have the forbidden secret art, the minor blood demon separating art, but he was also extremely fast in a straight line. Bang! As the tree was broken, Yi Chen used the recoil force to chase after Yuan Zongbua. Heart-refining sword. On the way, Yi Chen held his Star Scar sword with both of his hands. He waved the sword and threw out a half-arc-shaped blue sword chi. The blue sword chi only flashed once before turning into a blue light and attacking Yuan Zongbua in front of him. Ah! This brat is despicable. Yuan Zongbua's body shook a couple of times, and he almost fell down. After regaining his balance, he increased his speed again, flying towards the martial city that was hundreds of miles away. As long as he got back to the martial city, no matter how powerful his opponent was, he would not dare to touch even a hair of his. With that sword attack, Yi Chen had shortened the distance between him and Yuan Zongbua by dozens of meters. But this method was obviously not practical. With Yi Chen's soul power right now, he could only perform the one sword refining sword 6 times. After that, his mental power would be at a critical point, and if he was not careful, he would not be able to use his mental power at all. Plus, because he was flying at such a high speed, the power of the one sword refining sword could only be performed at less than 50%, which would not be able to break through Yuan Zongbua's protective Jin Qi layer. Even without the one sword refining sword, Yi Chen still had a support killing art. That was the void-shattering finger art. The power of the void-shattering finger art might not be that powerful, but it was extremely effective in breaking Jin Qi. Switching the sword to his left hand, Yi Chen lifted up his right index finger and pointed in the air. Ah! Yuan Zongbua landed on the ground, falling into the forest. Damn! I can't believe I have been pushed to this extent. Is this little forest going to be my, Yuan Zongbua's, final resting place? Yuan Zongbua landed on the ground. He did not dare to fly into the air anymore, so he kept running on the ground. His mind was filled with despair. Impossible. I, Yuan Zongbua, will not die here. An evil look flashed through Yuan Zongbua's face as he took out a small piece of blood-colored object from his storage ring. Without any hesitation, he threw it into his mouth. Then, he performed his minor blood demon body separating great art. His boiling Jin Qi poured into his right arm in an aggressive manner. His skin started to crack all of a sudden, and some blood vessels started to mix with his Jin Qi, making his Jin Qi even more viscous and red. Die! His right arm expanded as Yuan Zongbua held the great sword in his hand. He turned around and threw out a sword attack towards his back. Swoosh! The blood-colored sword chi that looked like a waning moon expanded rapidly in the air, creating 1,000 meters long huge crack on the ground. Looking down from the sky, the whole forest looked like it had been split in half. I am not afraid of the minor blood demons separating great art. But he is obviously trying to slow me down so that I cannot catch up with him. Instead of facing the blood-colored sword chi head-on, Yi Chen flashed his body and avoided the attacking range of the sword chi. He looked up and saw that Yuan Zongbua had used this short window of time to increase the distance between them again. Let me see how many times you can perform this. Back when Yuan Zongbua performed his minor blood demon separating great art, his right arm had dried up, and his blood had been used up. Yi Chen was very clear about that. After a while, a red light appeared in front of Yi Chen's eyes. Yuan Zongbua had performed his minor blood demon separating great art again. After flashing past the sword chi, the distance between the two had increased to 500 meters, which was a whole mile. Yi Chen was still a bit worried, so he scanned with his soul power. He wanted to see what Yuan Zongbua was doing. He was scanning with his soul power. Yuan Zongbua took out a small piece of blood-colored stuff from his storage ring and put it into his mouth. He chewed a few times and swallowed it. Visibly, Yuan Zongbua's dried-up right arm had recovered. Although it was not a complete recovery, and there would be serious side effects as he used it more and more, it would be enough for him to make it to the martial city. Once he got there, he would have a chance to take care of his body. So it is a great medicine for improving blood and flesh. It looks like it is not something normal. Yi Chen squeezed his eyes together. He knew that if it continued like this, Yuan Zongbua might be able to escape, and all his efforts would be in vain. Without any better ideas, Yi Chen performed his one-sword attack towards Yuan Zongbua's location. The sword chi that was even faster than the thunder sound cut down all the trees, clearing out a huge area. Void-shattering finger. Without the huge trees in the way, Yi Chen pointed out his finger from a distance away. Boom! Without any time to react, Yuan Zongbua's body tilted and crashed into the huge tree in front of him, leaving a human-shaped dent on it. Arms release. Yuan Zongbua was furious. He put an even bigger piece of blood-colored stuff into his mouth, and held his great sword with both of his arms covered in bloody light. He threw out a sword attack towards Yi Chen, who was 1 mile away. Ka la la. The ground collapsed, and trees flew to the sides. The huge blood-red sword chi was like a red storm, bringing with it an indomitable aura as it rushed out. The horrifying aura caused all the cultivators within 100 miles to feel a strong sense of it, and they all looked over. Shadow explosion. Facing Yuan Zongbua, who had released his arms, Yi Chen did not dare to waste any time. His body suddenly exploded, turning into dozens of shadows and spreading out. The next second, at least 20 shadows had been cut into pieces. Too bad that my lone peak kill is a close combat sword art. Otherwise, it would not take me so much effort. Last time, the reason why Yi Chen could beat Yuan Zongbua so easily was because he had ambushed him right from the beginning, which had greatly reduced his power. But what was different from last time was that this time, Yuan Zongbua was trying his best to run away, and did not even try to fight with him. No matter how powerful Yi Chen was, he would not be able to do anything to him in a short period of time. Plus, even without Mr. Jean, it would still be hard to tell who would win. At that time, Yuan Zongbua was afraid of the side effects, so he had only released his right arm. But now that he had the blood and flesh-nourishing medicine, he could more or less use some of the power of the minor blood demon body separating great art. The sword chi spread out as Yi Chen stood on the ground, holding his sword with both of his hands, and threw back a one-sword attack. Swoosh! Different from the sword chi from the minor blood demon body separating great art, the sword chi from the one-sword attack was not that big, only 1 meter long. It shot out at an extreme speed, turning into a blue light beam within a second, cutting everything in its way. It landed heavily on Yuan Zongbua's left arm. Yuan Zongbua let out a scream, as his left arm was cut off from his shoulder. Originally, with a distance of 500 meters, Yuan Zongbua could have easily dodged the sword chi attack. But although the minor blood demon body separating great art was powerful, it would slow down the opponent's reaction speed. It would be fine if it was an opponent with the same power level, but if the opponent was obviously more powerful than him, then this weakness would be magnified. Little bastard, even if I have to risk half of my life, I will kill you in this forest. Yuan Zongbua did not plan to run anymore. A blood light flashed in his hand, and a human head-sized red Ganoderma appeared in his hand. Without any hesitation, he opened his mouth and swallowed the red Ganoderma, leaving nothing behind. 1,000 years blood Ganoderma. Yichen recognized the name of the red Ganoderma. This kind of Ganoderma was called the blood Ganoderma, which was a great medicine that could nourish the blood and flesh. According to the depth of the color, the age of the blood Ganoderma would be different. This blood Ganoderma was the size of a human head, and it was red in color. It was obviously 1,000 years old 1,000-year blood Ganoderma, which could not be bought with gold. Seeing this, even if Yi Chen was stupid, he would know what Yuan Zongbua was trying to do. He must be using the effect of the 1,000-year blood Ganoderma to release his minor blood demon body separating great art in a large area, exploding with his most powerful power to kill Yi Chen in the forest. Very good. I am not afraid of you risking your life, but I am afraid of you running away. Yi Chen swallowed a Zhenqi replenishing pellet, and slowly approached Yuan Zongbua with his star scar sword. 80% release. Standing where he was, Yuan Zongbua let out a roar. Besides his head, a huge amount of blood poured out from every other part of his body. The blood mixed with his Zhenqi, forming a sticky blood light, spinning around his body in an irregular pattern. His whole body looked like it was covered in blood. Boom! All of the trees around him started to rot under the attack of the blood-red qi. The ground had already turned into a bloody land, without any grass growing. Chapter 224. Seeing the commotion caused by his opponent, Yi Chen thought to himself, if I am not mistaken, the minor blood demon body separating great art and the blood demon body separating great art have a lot to do with each other. Perhaps they both came from one of the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 ghost cult. In comparison, after performing the blood demon body separating great art, the user's whole body would become slow, and they would not know how to dodge. In the end, they would explode themselves to kill their enemies, which would be horrifying. But the minor blood demon body separating great art also had the side effects of slowing down and damaging the body. But compared to the blood demon body separating great art, the side effects were much smaller. Cut! Yi Chen would not just watch his opponent push his battling power to its limit. He waved his star scar sword, and a blue light sliced through the air. His target was indeed Yuan Zongbua, who was covered in the blood light. Crack! The sound of a steel wire breaking was heard. The blue light had just broken through the blood light and cut into Yuan Zongbua's body when an even more powerful blood light exploded, bouncing the blue light away. It turned back into sword qi in the air, then disappeared completely. It bounced away the sword qi. Yi Chen frowned a little, as he shot out his void-shattering finger power. Under the attack of the void-shattering finger power, the blood light outside of Yuan Zongbua's body dimmed a lot. A bowl-sized conical dent appeared in front of him. The bottom of the dent was very thin, and it looked like it was about to be punctured through. But right then, the finger power could not hold on anymore, and started to twist. Eventually, it shattered with a loud sound. No choice, I can only fight in close combat. The lone peak kill combined with the 11 sword movements was without a doubt Yi Chen's most powerful attack. There was no doubt about it. The blood light was like fire, burning fiercely. Yuan Zongbua's aura kept on increasing, forming a horrifying red tornado. The red tornado shot up into the sky. Looking from afar, it looked like a beam of intense spinning light column, standing in the middle of the forest. Such a powerful power. Ever since I learned the minor blood demon body separating great art, this is the first time I have released it to around 80%. Yuan Zongbua licked his lips, as his evil eyes landed on Yi Chen. He laughed, "Brat, dying under my most powerful condition would be your honor." Yi Chen said, "You think you can control the little blood demon body separating art?" There was no such thing as evil or evil in martial arts. It all depended on who was using it. In Yi Chen's opinion, since there was a word martial in martial arts, then it must be under the control of the warrior. Right now, Yuan Zongbua could not even control the rampaging qi, which meant that he had not mastered the minor blood demon separating great art yet. Otherwise, it would be even more powerful. Yuan Zongbua froze a little. He knew that Yi Chen was right. He indeed could not control the minor blood demon separating great art. It was not because he was stupid, but because the minor blood demon separating great art was different from normal martial arts. Every time he used it, it would severely damage his body. Therefore, unless it was a life or death situation, he would not use it if he could. Even if he did use it, he would not overdo it. Therefore, he did not know much about the minor blood demon separating great art. He had only managed to understand about 30% of its essence. I don't need to fully control the little blood demon body separating great art. I can kill you like a dog now. Blood light break. Yuan Zongbua lifted up his right arm, waving his sword towards Yi Chen. Boom 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 boom, the sound of countless bombs exploding was heard. The thick sword qi, no, it should not be called sword qi. It was more like a rough sword light. Yuan Zongbua, whose power had increased a lot, had lost the ability to condense his sword qi. It was already impressive enough for him to condense his attack into a rough sword light. The rough sword light went on a rampage, tearing the ground apart. It attacked towards Yi Chen, who was hundreds of meters away, with a brutal power. Before the sword light arrived, all of the trees behind Yi Chen within a few hundred meters had been shattered. The ground had collapsed, and the dirt had been pushed up. Facing this sword attack that was powerful enough to tear him into pieces, if Yi Chen chose to dodge it, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. By then, he might not be able to dodge the second, third, or even fourth sword attack. After all, the exploding rough sword light's attacking range was way too huge. It was almost beyond his dodging limit. Alright, I will let you see what I have achieved in the past month. Yi Chen did not back out. He held the Star Scar sword tightly with both of his hands and raised it above his head. All of a sudden, with the rich mysterious Jin Qi pouring in, the Star Scar sword started to twist. More accurately, it was the air around the Star Scar sword that started to twist, creating a visual illusion. It was like looking at a great sword at the bottom of a turbulent water surface. As the shocking sword aura exploded, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack. Sky-shattering clouds. The rough blood-colored sword light was extremely fast. Within a blink of an eye, it was already 10 meters in front of Yi Chen. Under the condition of being able to go beyond the speed of sound, 10 meters of distance could be ignored. However, right now, this 10 meters of distance was like a huge gap. No matter how aggressive the blood-colored sword light was, it could not move an inch forward. The stalemate lasted for less than half a blink of an eye. Then, the blood-red sword light shattered inch by inch, spreading in all directions. The forest within a radius of 1 mile was completely razed to the ground. When the blood-red light dissipated, a 30-meter wide, 20-meter deep crater appeared on the ground. It was a shocking sight. How is this possible? He managed to block out my full-power sword attack. Yuan Zongbua was very clear about the power of that sword attack. Not to mention anything else, just the attacking power alone was already no weaker than some of the top peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warriors. Even the top-rank 6 beasts with the ancient bloodline would not dare to ignore that attack. However, Yi Chen had blocked it out. How could he not be shocked? Ho! Yi Chen let out a long breath. That sword movement was the same as the lone peak kill, they were both combined sword movements. The difference was that the Lone Peak Kill had combined the Lone Peak 13 swords, while the Sky-Shattering Clouds had combined the first 3 movements of the low-rank Earth Realm sword art, the Sky Cloud sword art. Normally, with his cultivation, it would be quite difficult for him to combine low-rank Earth Realm sword arts. However, ever since he had reached 50% sword intent and his cultivation had reached the peak level early clasping Yuan realm, he could barely try to combine them. However, it had taken him a whole month to combine the first 2 movements, and it was not perfect yet. As for the third movement, it was not complete yet. In other words, the sword attack that he had performed just now was an incomplete combined sword movement. However, it was already more than enough. He had the lone peak kill for close combat, the one-sword attack for long-range combat, and the sky-shattering clouds for frontal attacks. Yi Chen's sword arts were pretty well-rounded, and he could handle most of the battles. If he could also train his 5-mountain godly fist art to completion, he would not need to be afraid of anyone even if he was bare-handed. Too bad, combining 2 low-rank Earth Realm sword arts was already my limit. The third movement was just pieced together, so it does not count as combining. Using this short window, Yi Chen quickly calmed down his boiling qi and blood. Although the exploding power of the blood sword light had not hurt him, it had definitely affected him. Boom! Yuan Zongbua took one step forward, and the ground in front of him suddenly caved in. He yelled, "I want to see how you are going to block out my second sword attack." Blood Eagle 3 sword attacks. With the help of the minor blood demon body separating great art, Yuan Zongbua threw out 3 sword attacks in a row. Because of the extreme speed, only his arm could be seen shaking a little bit. 3 coarse blood-colored sword lights, 2 from the top and 1 from the bottom. The top 2 sword lights were like the wings of an eagle, shattering the air, while the bottom one was like the sharp claws of an eagle, tearing the ground apart. Wherever it went, the air would shatter and be pushed out by the sword light, forming a vacuum world one after another. After performing this attack, Yuan Zongbua's body had shrunk a little bit, and his clothes seemed to have become loose, floating in the wind. Alright, with this opportunity, I will turn the remaining spirit chi of the fire dragon fruit into my potential. The spirit chi of the fire dragon fruit was not normal. Besides the fact that it could not help warriors break through to the next realm, it contained a huge amount of spirit chi. Before, when Yi Chen seemed to have reached the peak level mid-clasping Yuan realm from the mid-clasping Yuan realm, there was still more than 30% of the spirit chi left. It was hidden deep inside his body, and as time went on, it would leak out from time to time. Even Yi Chen could not stop it. His idea was very simple. With the pressure from Yuan Zongbua, he would completely turn the spirit chi of the fire dragon fruit into Yuan chi and merge it into his body. Once he reached the late clasping Yuan realm, that Yuan chi would help him increase his cultivation even faster, and it would not be wasted. Without taking a step back, Yi Chen crazily pushed his mysterious Jin Qi and poured it into the Star Scar sword. As a low-rank great weapon, the Star Scar sword did not explode. It swallowed all the pure mysterious Jin Qi, and its surface shone with a dark starlight. Its sword aura had increased drastically. Boom! After throwing out a sword attack, Yuan Zongbua's sword light was blocked again. Break! Not only had Yuan Zongbua's sword light been shattered, the spirit chi of the fire dragon fruit inside Yi Chen's body had been shattered as well, turning into pure Yuan chi, merging with Yi Chen's own human Yuan chi. The next second, Yi Chen became energetic again, completely different from before when he had blocked out the sword light. Separate! The blood light spread out. Yi Chen's body started to shake. For Jinqi shadows followed his real body and flew towards Yuan Zongbua from different angles, preparing for a close combat. No one knew when, but Yuan Zongbua's dry body started to bulge up again. It was the effect of the 1,000-years-old Ganoderma lucidum, which had helped him recover most of his flesh and blood. Piss off! Holding his great sword with one hand, Yuan Zongbua waved a half-circle. A blood-colored light appeared, and all of the Jinqi shadows that were attacking him had been shattered. Too late. In midair, Yi Chen was less than 1 meter away from Yuan Zongbua. He threw out his Star Scar sword, and that amazing sword light looked like a dream. It seemed to be far away, but also right in front of his eyes. Yuan Zongbua was shocked. With his eyesight, he could not even see where the sword light was. The only thing he could do was to strengthen his blood light defense to block out that sword attack. Swoosh! The Star Scar sword was extremely sharp. With the help of the 50% sword intent and the sword light, it was like a hot knife through butter. It did not take much effort to pierce through that blood light, and pierce through Yuan Zongbua's forehead. As the Star Scar sword was pulled out, a disgusting thing happened. Yuan Zongbua's whole body suddenly dried up and fell onto the ground. At first glance, one would think that he was a skeleton covered in human skin. Only his head looked the same as before, with a deep sword hole on his forehead. What a waste of 1,000 years old Ganoderma lucidum. Putting the star-scar sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen's feet landed on the ground. His eyes were full of pity. The 1,000 years old Ganoderma lucidum was extremely powerful, and could not be used up so quickly. It should be because Yuan Zongbua had lost control of his Jin Qi, so the Ganoderma lucidum could not work on its own, and was locked inside his stomach. Without the nourishment of the Ganoderma lucidum, the side effect of the minor blood demon body separating great art had completely exploded, and all of his blood had evaporated within a second. If there were some evil warriors here, they might take out the Ganoderma lucidum inside Yuan Zongbua's body, since it would still have some medicinal effects. Chapter 225. Ah! Someone was coming. Yi Chen frowned. Thousands of meters away, 4 to 5 human shadows were running towards this direction. They were extremely fast, and none of them were below the speed of sound. Waving his hand, Yuan Zongbua's storage ring landed in his hand. Yi Chen flashed his body and disappeared into the woods. He did not want anyone to see that he was the one who killed Yuan Zongbua and the others. Shoo! The first one to arrive was a middle-aged man. Then, 2 more people landed beside him. Looking at Yi Chen's disappearing back, the few of them could not help but feel greedy. He has killed a lot of people. He must have gotten a lot of wealth. Should we kill him? Yeah, kill him, and all the wealth will be ours. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Wait. The middle-aged man stopped the others. The few of them did not understand. What? Boss Hu, you have always killed people without blinking an eye. You won't go easy on us, will you? Worst comes to worst, you can take all the money, and we can just drink some soup. The middle-aged man pointed at the dead body on the ground. Don't be blinded by your greed. Look at who he is. Those clothes, and that sword. Could it be the inner master of the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School, Yuan Zongbua? Yuan Zongbua's power was similar to ours. He was an old late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. But he had the minor blood demon body separating great art. Once he risked his life, even peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warriors would have to run away. Who killed him? How could he be so powerful? Luckily, Boss Hu reminded us. Otherwise, if we followed him like idiots, we would be chopped up like vegetables. The few of them who had been greedy just now could not help but feel scared. Wealth was good, but they needed to be alive to enjoy it. They had been in the martial world for a long time, so of course they knew that. This low-rank great sword is not bad. It is not a wasted trip. One of them reached out his hand, trying to pick up Yuan Zongbua's sword. The middle-aged man said coldly, if you want to die, just pick it up. If the people from the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School knew about it, they would definitely send out powerful warriors to kill you, unless you want to hide in the martial city for the rest of your life. Damn it, I almost forgot that this sword is a hot potato. That person hurried to take back his hand. The Sky Eagle Castle was a rank 7 martial institution after all. They had a lot of resources. Not to mention astral reaching realm warriors. Even if they sent some powerful late-clasping Yuan realm warriors, they would not be able to escape unscathed. Returning to the place where he killed Mr. Jean, Yi Chen took his storage ring, then took a long detour and returned to the martial city. However, this time, he did not brazenly go back directly. He wore a bamboo hat on his head, just enough to cover his face. Fortunately, there were all kinds of people in Wu City, and there were many people who hid their faces. Therefore, Yi Chen's attire was not very special. At the counter outside the cultivation room, Yi Chen paid 3 days' worth of spirit stones in advance, took a jade plate of the middle-grade cultivation room and walked in. Yi Chen did not stay in the martial city to train his Jin Qi, but to train the 5 mountain godly fist art and the flow Rudra 3 spell, since it would be a bit troublesome outside. It would not be as safe and quiet as the martial city. As for the uninhabited mountains, there were countless beasts, which was not a good place for training. Before training, Yichen counted the wealth of Yuan Zongbua, Mr. Jin, and the three brothers. The five of them had about 200,000 low-rank spirit stones in total. Among them, Yuan Zongbua had the most, followed by the three brothers, and Mr. Jin had the least. That mid-rank Earth Realm finger art, gold-shattering finger, should have been bought by him, which cost a lot of low-rank spirit stones. Besides the low-rank spirit stones, there were also a lot of pellets, a couple of low-rank Earth Realm martial arts, and one high-rank Earth Realm martial art, which was indeed Yuan Zongbua's minor blood demon separating art. As for this minor blood demon body separating great art, Yichen had a complicated expression on his face. Its power was without a doubt, but the side effects were too horrifying. Without the thousand-year blood fungus and other great treasures that could nourish the blood and flesh, he would not be able to use it more than once. Learn it or not? Yichen hesitated for a while, but he still decided to learn it. It was a matter of life and death, and he was about to lose his life, so why would he care about the side effects? He would just have to look for more treasures that could nourish his body. With his wealth right now, he should not have to worry about not being able to afford it. Of course, the minor blood demons separating art would have to be neglected for a while. His main goal was to train the Flow Luo 3 mysterious spell to the second realm, which would allow his separating shadow flying art to reach the high-rank Earth realm. Then, he would train the 5 mountain godly fist art. The Flow Luo 3 mysterious spell, as a high-rank Earth realm martial art, was as hard to train as a top-rank Earth realm martial art. If it were not for Yi Chen's powerful soul power and shocking comprehension, it would be impossible for him to train it to the second realm in such a short period of time. Before, when he was in the Gold Tripod City, he had been studying it for a month, and he could feel the signs of the next realm. Now, as he continued to train, the signs were getting more and more obvious. On the 10th day, Yichen had finally reached the second realm of the Flow Luo 3 mysterious spell, and his separating shadow flying art had officially evolved into a high-rank Earth realm flying art. Right then, he performed his separating shadow flying art with all of his power, and his speed instantly reached twice the speed of sound, which was 20 to 30% faster. Before, Yi Chen's speed was only as fast as a late-clasping Yuan realm warrior, since the sword intent did not have any effect on increasing his speed. But now, with his flying art, his speed was definitely not any slower than a peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. Unless an astral-reaching realm warrior showed up, there would not be many people who could surpass him with their speed, unless they had trained a higher-rank flying art. Obviously, the chance of that happening would be even smaller. Whether rank 6 martial institutions had top-rank Earth realm flying arts or not, Yichen did not know. Outside of rank 6 martial institutions, there were very few people who had top-rank Earth realm flying arts, and there were not many people who had top-rank Earth realm flying arts. After his separating shadow flying art had leveled up, other than the increase in speed, the number of Jinqi shadows that he could create had also increased. There were now 6 of them, and if he used the shadow explosion, he could create hundreds of shadows in a blink of an eye, which were packed together and layered on top of each other. In other words, right now, Yichen had finally stepped into the clasping Yuan realm. He would not need to be nervous when facing the tyrant rank 6 beasts, the Wind Wolf. If he could not win, he would be able to escape. After training the Flow Luo 3 mysterious spell to the second realm, Yichen started to train the 5 mountain godly fist art. The 5 mountain godly fist art had 5 movements in total. The first movement was the 5 mountain condensing shape, which was the movement of gathering power. It was also the most basic movement of the 5 mountain godly fist art. Without this movement, the later movements would not have much power. Once this movement was mastered, the fist power would increase to the level of being able to shatter mountains. Although it was a bit exaggerated, one could tell from the description that the fist power of the 5 mountain godly fist art was indeed extraordinary. The first step was gathering power. The gathering power process was not easy at all. The main point was to gather a huge amount of Jinqi on the surface of the fist in a special way. If the fist shone with a muddy yellow light, it would be the entry level. If the bright yellow light shone, it would be the entry level. If the light could condense into a mountain shadow, it would be the entry level. As long as he could train the gathering power to the entry level, he would be able to start training the second step, which was force exertion. He did not need to reach the entry level. After only half an hour, Yi Chen had trained the first step of gathering power to the entry level. He reached out his fist, which had a muddy yellow light surrounding it. It was extremely rich. After half a day, the muddy yellow light had turned into a bright yellow light. Within the rich light, an indescribable dominating power could be felt. In front of the training column that was made of hard metal, Yi Chen took a deep breath and threw out a punch. Pooh! The bright yellow light disappeared once it touched the training column. It only left a shallow fist mark on the training column. It seems like it is just like what the manual said. I have to learn the second step of force exertion to be able to throw out all of the fist power of the 5 mountain godly fist art. It should not be like this. Without rushing to learn the second step of force exertion, Yi Chen tried to train the gathering power to the entry level. That way, he would be able to perform all of the fist power of the 5 mountain godly fist art. 5 days later, Yi Chen shook his head. The bright yellow light on his fist was already showing signs of turning into a mountain shadow. However, he had trained the 5 mountain godly fist art for too little time. He had not grasped all of the essences yet, so it would not be easy for him to cross it. Never mind, I should study the force exertion first. The gathering power could be trained slowly in the future, but the exertion was what he needed right now. Even at the entry level of the gathering power, when he performed the first movement of the 5 mountain godly fist art, its power would be more powerful than the 4th movement of the tyrant fist art. This was the difference between a low-rank Earth Realm fist art and a mid-rank Earth Realm fist art. Plus, the 5 mountain godly fist art was not a normal mid-rank Earth Realm fist art, it was one of the top ones. Yi Chen had spent 210,000 low-rank soul stones to buy it. Compared to the gathering power, the exertion was much easier. Within a week, Yi Chen had mastered it. Walking to the training column again, Yi Chen tightened his right hand. The bright yellow light twisted, with a vague mountain shadow, it heavily smashed on the surface of the extremely hard training column. Boom! The training column was slightly dented, and there was a deep fist mark on the place where it had been punched. Because of the huge amount of power, the perfectly straight training column was a bit bent, and the back was tightened. Not bad. The entry-level consolidation of the 5 mountain is even more horrifying than I thought. But what kind of metal is this training column made of? My sword chi could only leave a sword mark on it, but could not break it. My fist power could not even bend it. It is so unbelievable. Reaching the cultivation level of Yi Chen, he could even shatter a mountain, and normal great swords could be easily broken. The training column in the training room was unimaginably hard, it seemed to be just below a low-rank great weapon. If these metals were made into weapons, it would be enough for clasping Yuan realm warriors to use. Yi Chen naturally did not know that these metals used to be the most normal metal materials, but after being trained by the earth evulsion fire, all of the impurities had been burned out, leaving only the best of the best. There were not many clasping Yuan realm warriors who could destroy them. Time flew, and Yi Chen had stayed in the training room for a month. During this time, he trained his Jin Qi in the training room at night, stabilizing his cultivation. During the day, he would continue to learn sword arts and train the 5 mountain godly fist art. Learning sword arts was a habit. There was not a single day that Yi Chen did not work on his sword arts. He was very clear that sword arts and sword intent were closely related. The higher the achievement in sword arts, the more stable the sword intent would be, and the easier it would be to improve. On the other hand, among all the sword artists in the world, most of the people who had learned the sword intent were the ones with powerful sword arts. Only a few of them had learned the sword intent with normal sword arts. As for the first movement of the 5 mountain godly fist art, Yi Chen had not reached the completion level yet. But with his powerful fist power, it had already completely surpassed the tyrant fist art. Chapter 226. Before he left, Yi Chen used all of his fist power and threw a punch on the training column. Crack! The training column made a noise that made people's teeth hurt. The top half of the training column was twisted into an arc shape. In terms of pure power, the fist power was obviously more powerful than the sword chi. Plus, because it was a close-distance attack, Yi Chen's powerful physical power had also been combined with the fist power of the Five Mountain Godly Fist art. After training the King Kong Jade body, Yi Chen's physical power was close to 50,000 pounds, which was more than enough to blow away a normal whale. The servant who came in to clean up the yard was shocked by what he saw. After leaving the martial city, Yi Chen did not take off his hat. He used his flying art and flew far away. So fast. Right now, my speed should not be slower than Wu Liangyu's, right? During the battle with the beasts in the Gold Tripod City, Wu Liangyu had used the same martial art as the Black Crow Man, which was the high-rank Earth Realm martial art, the Black Crow Great Art. The biggest feature of this martial art was that a pair of Jinchi wings could be formed on the back, which would increase the speed. It allowed Wu Liangyu to be way faster than late-clasping Yuan Realm warriors even though he was only at mid-clasping Yuan Realm. Right now, Yi Chen's separating shadow art was also high-rank Earth Realm, which was similar to the Black Crow Great Art. The only difference was that his martial art had increased his speed, while Yi Chen's was purely flying art. Theoretically speaking, Yi Chen's speed should be even faster. Shoo! The scenery on both sides turned into blurry black shadows and moved backward quickly. The wind was like a knife, continuously cutting at Yi Chen's protective Jinchi layer. The heavy mystery mountain was getting further and further away, until it disappeared into the horizon. In the restaurant in the small town, there was a little light shining in the guest room on the second floor. Young master, the Wang family in the Star Region Lake is not like our Wang family in the Black Ridge City. That is the main family, a rank 9 family, while our Wang family in the Black Ridge City is only a branch, a normal family. So, when you get there, you still have to endure. You cannot be too hot-blooded. In the room, an elder in a long robe warned the teenager in black. The black-clothed young man was about 14 or 15 years old. His body was slender and agile, and his not-so-handsome face had a unique temperament. His eyes were black with very little white. Although his aura was slightly cold, the smile on his face was very gentle. He said, "Uncle Zhou, we are all from the same family. The main family should be as warm as our Wang family in Black Ridge City. So, you don't have to worry. Anyway, I'm not a hateful character. At most, I won't provoke them." Uncle Zhou sighed, "You don't understand what I mean. What do you think the main family is calling you over for?" The youth in black said, "Isn't it because my bloodline is pure? You want me to inherit some power? That's the problem. You're just a disciple of a branch family, yet you're able to inherit the main family's power. What will the other disciples of the main family think? They'll definitely not be convinced, and they might even secretly harm you. As long as you die, they'll be the ones to inherit the power." No way. I wasn't the one who wanted to go. In fact, I didn't even know that there was a master. They don't care about your attitude. What they care about is who inherits the power. Forget it, there's no point in talking to you about this. Everything depends on strength. Sleep early. We'll have to travel through the night for a long time. In the third guest room next door. "Master Lu, why do we have to go through so much trouble? Why don't we just take care of them?" On the edge of the bed, the skinny middle-aged man was wiping his great blade and said in an evil tone. Master Lu stood next to the window with his hands behind his back. His eyes were dark as he shook his head and said, "No. That Uncle Zhou is a powerful warrior. I have no confidence that I can beat him. Once they escape, the consequences will be unimaginable. We have to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Wait until the Master's warriors meet up with us. It won't be too late to kill them then. Motherfucker, I can't believe that a branch family has such a pure bloodline. This is so confusing. Bloodline is something that happens by chance. No matter how many generations pass, there might be a special case. I can only say that he is lucky. Very soon, this good luck will turn into bad luck. He can only blame himself for having something that he shouldn't have." The skinny middle-aged man licked his lips, his eyes full of cruelty. I've asked a few of the shop owners, and they all said that the Star Region Lake has the most spirit medicines. I hope to find some good ones there. Yi Chen's destination this time was the Star Region Lake. It did not belong to the Black Dragon Empire, nor the other two countries, because it was way bigger than the three countries combined, reaching millions of miles in radius. It stretched all the way to the center of the Misty Snow region, bordering on the Wavy Cloud region and the Thunder region. It was one of the top super lakes in the whole True Spirit continent, which was way bigger than the ocean in Yi Chen's world. But here, it was still just called a lake. Of course, Yi Chen did not plan to walk around the whole Star Region Lake. With his cultivation, he would probably be eaten by the beasts before he could even walk 10% of the lake. There were a lot of forbidden places in the Star Region Lake, and some of them were extremely dangerous. Even Sea of Souls Realm warriors and Life and Death Realm warriors would have to be careful. Yi Chen only wanted to walk around the edge of the Star Region Lake that was close to the Black Dragon Empire. In front of him was a barren mountain area. There were not many plants on the mountain, and there were only bare rocks everywhere, stretching for hundreds of miles. Shoo! Extending his body, Yi Chen flew over like a huge bird. There was an ancient road in the barren mountain. On both sides of the road were bare rock mountains, and on the ground were some dried-out grass. There were piles of rocks everywhere, giving people a desolate feeling. The four figures walked at a steady pace. Let's stop here. Wait for the people from the main house. Master Lu turned around, the killing intent in his eyes gone as he said with a smile. Zhou frowned and said, "Your mission is not to bring us to the main house. The faster, the better. Wasting time here is a bit against the rules." Master Lu explained, "It is like this. The main house had sent a couple of groups of people to look for you, and each group has a powerful warrior. The road ahead will be very dangerous, so it would be safer if there were more powerful warriors. Then how long do we have to wait? Our Wang family from the Black Hills City did not live in the Black Hills City, and we have not contacted the main house of the Star Region Lake for many years. It would be impossible for them to find us right away. If they could not find us, they would definitely keep searching. How could they meet us here before they could find us?" Master Lu's face froze. He did not think of this loophole, and he could not think of anything to explain it. Could it be that we were not waiting for those people, but the powerful warriors sent by the young master to take care of you all together? The skinny middle-aged man could tell that Master Lu was troubled, so he scolded, "Old man, who do you think you are? I told you to wait, so just wait." "What are you talking about?" Zhou said angrily, "Please watch your mouth." "What? Who do you think you are?" The teenager in black was afraid that Zhou would be taken advantage of, so he tried to persuade him, "Zhou, never mind. Let's wait a bit longer. Maybe we can wait until they come." Zhou sighed. He felt that something was wrong, especially that skinny middle-aged man. His tone was very aggressive, and he was afraid that he was not a kind person. He sent a Jinqi message to the teenager in black, "Snake, if anything happens later, you run first. Don't worry about me." The teenager in black looked at Zhou with surprise, not knowing what he meant. Soon, 3 human figures appeared in front of them. "They're here." Master Lu let out a breath. The skinny middle-aged man chuckled, as he looked at Zhou and the teenager in black with an evil intention. The leader of the 3 was a scrawny elder, and the 2 people next to him were both muscular men. Judging from the Jinqi vibration, all 3 of them were above the late-clasping Yuan realm. The elder's qi was the most powerful, reaching the peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm. "Are you sure it's him?" Walking up, the elder asked directly. Master Lu nodded, "Yes, I am sure." The old man sized up the black-clothed youth with an emotionless gaze. He stretched out his hand and pulled the youth over. "Nothing can go wrong with this. I'll have to check it myself." Zhou yelled, "What are you doing? Old man, stay there and don't move." The skinny middle-aged man blocked Zhou's way and said with a creepy voice. Swoosh! With a wave of his hand, the black-clothed youth's clothes were torn apart and scattered in all directions. On his muscular and slender upper body, there was a picture of a large snake coiled around it. The large snake was vivid and lifelike, and every scale was especially realistic. It faintly opened and closed in accordance with the black-clothed youth's breathing. What was even more shocking was that the large snake had 5 heads, and all 5 heads were exactly the same, and their eyes emitted a faint red light. A 5-headed snake tattoo. I don't think there is a beast like this. Maybe there is some other meaning to it. On top of the rock mountain, Ichin appeared out of nowhere. He had cast the Qi hiding spell, and as long as he did not look with his eyes, no one would be able to sense his existence. Leaning against the huge rock, Ichin shook his head. Before the elder and the other 2 arrived, he had already sensed the killing intent from Master Lu and the skinny middle-aged man. They did not attack before because they were afraid of Zhou, who was guarding the teenager in black, and did not have full confidence. 5-headed snake, the density of the bloodline is indeed high. It is indeed him. The elder grinned and said with a dry voice. The smile on Master Lu's face disappeared, then let's get rid of them here. Hearing him, Zhou's expression changed drastically. The thing that he was worried about the most had happened. This group of people obviously wanted to get rid of Snake, who was about to inherit the special power of the main house. Piss off! His Jin Qi exploded as Zhou pushed away the skinny middle-aged man with one palm attack. His body then dashed towards the teenager in black, trying to take him back. In front of me, you are not allowed to do whatever you want. The skinny elder waved his hand, and his Jin Qi formed into a huge black snake, which tried to wrap around Zhou. Zhou had to stop himself from moving. He reached out his hand, and his Jin Qi palm grabbed onto the huge black snake. You are like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. As the elder's voice was heard, the huge black snake slid out of the Jin Qi palm, twisting its long body and jumping towards Zhou. Boom! His Jin Qi layer was broken. Zhou puked out a mouthful of blood and was blown away. Brat, it is your honor to die in my hands. After blowing away Zhou with one attack, the elder's palm turned into a claw, grabbing towards the teenager in black. Shoo! A beam of sword qi shot out. The elder's expression changed drastically, and he hurried to back out, avoiding the sharp sword qi. Kacha! Between the elder and the teenager in black, a sword mark that was dozens of meters long appeared. It was a few feet wide and immeasurably deep. Chapter 227. Sir, who are you? The elder glanced at the sword mark on the ground, then looked at Yi Chen, who was flying towards him. There was a hint of fear in his tone. In the air, Yi Chen reached out his right hand and pulled it back, sucking the teenager in black out of the middle of the 5 people. Zhou looked at Yi Chen confusedly. He wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth and walked over. Master Snake, are you okay? The teenager in black shook his head. Seeing the teenager in black had escaped, the elder's face turned dark. Yi Chen had moved way too fast, and he did not have time to react at all. He yelled immediately, I don't care who you are. Give me that brat now. Otherwise, this day next year will be your death anniversary. Yi Chen said, I will give you 3 breaths of time. Piss off now. Little bastard, you are looking for death. I will take care of you right now. The skinny middle-aged man who was the closest to Yi Chen yelled. Jin Qi poured out of his body, and his body moved like lightning. He took out his blade and threw out a quick attack. Without taking out his sword, Yi Chen made a fist with his right hand and threw out a simple attack. The blade light disappeared, and the long blade in the middle-aged man's hand suddenly exploded into pieces. Thousands of pieces shot out like rain. Right after that powerful fist power came over with an unstoppable momentum. All of a sudden, he felt that it was not a fist, but a mountain, a horrifying mountain that was moving at a high speed. Boom! Under that fist attack, the middle-aged man could not handle the power. His right arm and half of his body had been blown up. Blood poured out like crazy, and it seemed like he was not going to make it. It is indeed not a normal mid-rank Earth Realm fist art. The first movement is only at entry level, and it already has this much power. When he was training the 5-mountain godly fist art, Yichen had never fought with anyone before. He had only measured its power by the damage caused by the training columns. Right now, he had killed a peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm warrior with only one punch, which made Yichen realize that the price of the 5-mountain godly fist art for 210,000 low-rank soul stones was not without reason. Judging from its power, it was already not that much weaker than high-rank earth realm martial arts. Seeing that, the elder's expression got darker and darker. You three attack together. Do not be careless. Yes. Master Lu and the other two muscular men formed an arc-shaped battle formation and surrounded Yichen. The first one to attack was Master Lu. As a late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, he was way more powerful than the skinny middle-aged man, and he also had a lot of battle experience. He stomped his foot on the ground and released his hidden power, forming a huge mud mound and throwing it out. At the same time, he opened his mouth and let out a roar. He reached out his right hand and condensed his Jin Qi into a huge snake head. The snake head opened its mouth wide and flicked its tongue, showing its sharp fangs. What a strange martial skill! Yichen squinted his eyes, his body flashed, he dodged the huge mound, and his fist collided with Elder Lu's. The head of the snake had been shattered, and Master Lu puked out a mouthful of blood. However, he did not fly out just like that. Instead, his body slanted, and a sharp Jinqi snake tail appeared behind his butt. The Jinqi snake tail was covered in scales and curved like a hook. Shoo! It stabbed towards Yichen's chest. Yichen did not panic. He raised his left index finger and pointed at the void. Bang! The true Qi snake tail exploded. Snake scale arm. While the two were fighting, the slightly taller muscular man dashed over. The clothes on his right arm were torn apart, and there were tiny scales on his skin. Those scales were not condensed by Jinqi, but were real scales. Each of them was the size of a fingernail, and the edges were curved, shining with a cold light. Seeing those scales, the first thing that came to Yichen's mind was a snake. The martial arts of the Wang family seemed to all be related to snakes, and this muscular man was even more ridiculous. He had never seen or heard of snake scales on his skin, which was completely different from the ghost head's beast transformation martial art. Kicking away Elder Lu, Yichen raised his hand and grabbed onto the muscular man's scale-covered fist. Snake entanglement. Unexpectedly, the muscular man's fist was like a snake's head, and his arm was like a snake's body. With a slight twist, he slid out of Yichen's palm and coiled around Yichen's arm. Then, he straightened his body and threw out a punch. Strange. So strange. It seems like there are no bones left. Yichen took a step back instantly. As his opponent was about to run out of power, Yichen threw out his right fist with a bright yellow light. Crack! His opponent's seemingly boneless right arm exploded with a series of bone-breaking sounds, as he screamed and was blown out. Among the three, the last muscular man pulled out the distance between him and Yichen. He bent his body, pressed both of his hands on the ground, and yelled, "Crazy snake dance!" Rumble. It seemed like there were countless huge poisonous snakes crawling out from the ground. Once they got out of the ground, they would definitely be drowned in the sea of snakes. A smile appeared on Yichen's face. The fist power of the 5-mountain godly fist art contained the earth element. Under the ground, even the Jinqi from a high-rank earth realm martial art would not be able to win against his fist power. 5-mountain condensing forms. Break. Bending his body to throw out a punch, Yichen's fist deeply sank into the ground. This time, the noise was even bigger than the one made by the muscular man. It was like a huge earthquake had happened within hundreds of meters radius. It was shaking intensely, as if the sky was falling and the ground was cracking. Even the air had turned dirty, which made people feel like the sky was no longer the sky, and the ground was no longer the ground. Visibly, a circle of bright yellow light started from Yichen, shooting towards the muscular man at a fast speed. It blew him into the sky, causing him to puke out 3 huge mouthfuls of blood. Young warrior, watch out! Suddenly Uncle Zhou warned Yi Chen loudly, his voice extremely hurried. It's too late. Under my Snake King's entanglement, no matter how powerful you are, you will still be crushed into meat paste. The elder, who had been quiet the whole time, crossed both of his hands in the air. That rich and cold Jin Qi accumulated around Yi Chen, forming a huge snake with black scales. It had 2 heads, its upper body high up in the air, and its lower body deep into the ground. Its body twisted into circles, trapping Yi Chen inside. Right then, the huge snake's body started to wriggle, trying to wrap around Yi Chen to death. Uncle Zhou's face was extremely pale. No matter if it was a normal snake or a demonic snake, the most powerful close combat attack would be the entanglement. No matter how powerful the enemy was, once they were entangled, it would already be great if they could perform 20 to 30% of their power. The teenager in black was also looking at Yi Chen with the same worry. Sorry, I was just playing with you. Taking out his Star Scar sword, with the help of his sword intent, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack. Swoosh! The huge black scaled snake that was formed from Jin Qi was cut in half. Yi Chen walked out of the gap and looked at the elder with a faint smile on his face. What? Keep on entangling. The elder's expression changed drastically. He waved both of his hands in the air. That huge snake that had been cut in half grew out its own head and tail, turning into 2 huge snakes that continued to entangle towards Yi Chen. Cut! Yi Chen did not even look at the huge snake as he waved out a sword attack towards the elder. The elder's body froze, and the next second, he was cut in half. Blood splashed everywhere. Run! Master Lu and the 2 bulky men could not care about anything else. Even the most powerful elder had been killed, so what else could they do? As long as they could get back to the main house of the Star Region Lake, there would be plenty of opportunities to kill them. Yi Chen shook his head. Since he had already killed 2 of them, he would not mind killing 3 more. These people did not look like good people anyway, and keeping them alive would only bring more trouble. 3 beams of sword chi disappeared, leaving behind 3 dead bodies. Zhou froze for a second, then came back to his senses. He hurried to pull the teenager in black and walked over, saying with respect, "Thank you, young warrior, for saving our lives. Master Snake and I could not thank you enough." Putting away his Star Scar sword, Yi Chen said, "No need to thank me. It was just a moment of interest. Young hero, you saved me and Snake on a whim. I have no way to repay you, so please accept this." Zhou took out a palm-sized flower from his storage ring. It was in the shape of a fan, with a red bottom and yellow petals. There were 3 petals in total. Blood Sun Flower. Yi Chen was going to reject it, but when he saw the appearance of the flower, he was tempted. The Blood Sun Flower was a rare spirit flower. It usually grew in places with rich pure yang qi. It had a lot of effects, but the most important one was to nourish the blood and flesh. This Blood Sun Flower was the size of a palm, and 1/3 of it was red. It was obviously 300 years old, and a 1,000 years old flower would be completely red, like a red jade. Although a 300 years old Blood Sun Flower was not as powerful as a 1,000 years old Ganoderma lucidum, it was still better than nothing. In the future, when he mastered the minor blood demon body separating great art, he could use it to free an arm. Since it is like this, I will accept it. Yi Chen did not reject it anymore. He had saved their lives, so it was natural for him to be rewarded. The only difference was whether he wanted it or not. After accepting the Blood Sun Flower, Yi Chen asked, "You are going to the Star Region Lake?" Zhou nodded. "Our destination is the Wang family of the Star Region Lake. It is located on the Snake Island. It will take us about half a month to get there." The Wang family of the Star Region Lake. Yi Chen had never heard of it before, but it made sense. The Star Region Lake did not belong to any country. It was millions of miles wide, and there must be a lot of martial institutions and families living there. "Young warrior, are you going to the Star Region Lake as well?" Zhou looked at Yi Chen with hope. After this incident, He knew that there must be someone in the main house who did not want his young master to inherit the special power of the main house. With his power alone, it would be hard for him to keep his young master safe. If only Yi Chen was there. Yi Chen nodded. It is not impossible for me to take you to the Star Region Lake. I just want to know where you can find the Blood Sunflower. Zhou heard him and said happily, our Wang family from the Black Hill City specializes in growing blood sunflowers. However, because of the environment, the blood sunflower could not be more than 300 years old. The main house of the Star Region Lake and the Wang family from the Black Hill City should have some blood sunflowers too. If you don't mind, when we get to the Star Region Lake, my young master and I will try to get you a few blood sunflowers. Then I will have to trouble you. If it is too expensive, I can buy it with soul stones. Yi Chen was not in need of soul stones right now. It was not impossible for him to buy a few thousand-years-old blood sunflowers. He wondered if the Wang family in the Star Region Lake had any thousand-years-old blood sunflowers. Bro, my name is Wang Snake. Are you a late-clasping Yuan Realm warrior? The teenager in black asked with admiration. Yi Chen smiled, not yet, I am at the mid-clasping Yuan Realm. You are already so powerful at the mid-clasping Yuan Realm. You must be one of the top martial geniuses in the South Rudra region. Wang's Snake was even more impressed. He was 15 years old this year, and had reached the late condensing reality realm not long ago. If he encountered a clasping Yuan Realm warrior, he would not be able to fight back at all. Therefore, once he heard that the main house wanted him to inherit the powerful power, he agreed immediately. His father could not stop him no matter what. Yi Chen did not say anything. When he was the same age as Wang's Snake, he was not as powerful as him. But what was different from him was that Wang's Snake had a lot of secrets. That five-headed snake tattoo looked so real, and it was giving off a creepy feeling. Normal people would not be able to sense it, only Yi Chen, who had a powerful soul power, could sense it. Thinking about the martial skills that the Wang family used and the five-headed snake tattoo on Wang's Snake's body, Yi Chen felt that this Wang family in the Star Region Lake was not simple. Chapter 228. The Star Regional Lake was just like its name. The islands inside were like the stars in the night sky, countless of them. Just within the Black Dragon Empire, there were thousands of islands. Among all these islands, only a small part of them were suitable for humans to live in. Most of them were islands with terrible environments. Some of them were far away from the land, and were even occupied by powerful beasts. There were also some islands that had a strange power that could kill anyone who entered. The Snake Island was one of the islands that was suitable for humans to live in. On the endless lake, the waves were sparkling. A huge, compact, and smooth ship was sailing forward at a high speed. At the head of the ship, Yi Chen looked into the distance. Countless island shadows appeared in his sight. Brother Yi, will you join the South Rudra region Hidden Dragon rank competition this year? The cabin door opened, and Wang's Snake walked towards Yi Chen. Yi Chen said, probably. I would like to join as well, but unfortunately, I am not powerful enough. I heard that only clasping Yuan Realm warriors can join this year. Wang's Snake looked excited. Clasping Yuan Realm warriors? I guess so. The Hidden Dragon rank competition had its heyday and its downfall. After all, it was only held once every 3 years. You could not expect a huge amount of top martial geniuses to appear every time. As for how to tell the difference, it could be seen from the qualification to join. After chatting for a while, Wang's Snake felt that there was nothing else to do. Brother Yi, don't you feel bored? We have been on this ship for half a month already. I should have brought Blackie with me. It's alright. Who is Blackie? Blackie is a rank 4 beast with 2 heads. It is very powerful. Even late condensing reality realm warriors would not be able to compete with it. Wang's Snake said proudly. Yi Chen was surprised. You can control a 2-headed snake? I think so. I am not sure. Wang's Snake was a bit confused. With a 5-headed snake tattoo on his body, he could control a two-headed snake. There was a kind of terrifying chi coming from him. Yichen shook his head, he could not figure it out. He said, "Wang snake, what is with the five-headed snake tattoo on your body? It does not look like it was tattooed on you." "You mean the five-headed snake tattoo?" "Of course it was not tattooed on me. I have been like this since I was born. My father also had a two-headed snake tattoo. But in the family, not many people have this tattoo." Wang's snake did not think too much, he just said casually. "Cough, cough." Uncle Zhou came out of the cabin. When he heard what Wang Shi said, his expression changed. He quickly coughed a few times, signaling him not to say more. "I'm sorry, young Hiroyi. These are our Wang family's secrets. Knowing too much isn't a good thing for you." Uncle Zhou's face was apologetic, but his tone was sincere. Yichen didn't mind and said, "I was rash." The weather of the Star Regional Lake suddenly changed. A moment ago, the sun was shining brightly, but in the next second, it was covered by dark clouds with thunder and lightning. Huge waves were formed on the surface of the lake. When the bad weather passed, it was already the next afternoon. A rainbow hung diagonally in the dark blue sky, refreshing and pleasant. As usual, Yichen came to the bow of the boat and breathed in the fresh air of the lake. At this moment, the hull of the ship suddenly shook violently. Huge waves rose on the surface of the lake for no reason, and a huge shadow could be faintly seen lurking in the water. What happened? What happened? The passengers in the cabin ran out one after another, their faces full of panic. Wang Shi frowned slightly and then relaxed. He said to Yi Chen, "Brother Yi, I feel a familiar vibe. It seems to be a snake-type beast. It is very powerful." Just when Wang Shi finished talking, the front of the boat darkened. Everyone looked over and screamed. "It is the tyrant of the rank 6 beasts, the three-headed snake." "Oh no. I can handle normal rank 6 beasts, but a tyrant of the rank 6 beasts is not something we can handle." No one knew when, but 3 huge snake heads had appeared in front of the ship. Each of them was as big as a luxurious carriage, and their eyeballs were like lanterns hanging on a gate, emitting red beams of light. Their 10-feet-long tongues flickered in and out like long spears. It was a terrifying sight. When Yi Chen was about to make his move, Wang Shi stopped him. "Brother Yi, let me try." Unlike the others, Wang Shi slowly walked to the front of the boat, raised his head and said gently, "My name is Wang Shi. Can we be friends?" In the past, the snake-type beasts would not attack him when they met him, and they seemed to understand his words. Therefore, Wang Shi did not think that the three-headed snake would attack him, so he was not on guard at all. Hiss, 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 the speed of the snake's tongues was extremely fast. The three-headed snake stared at Wang Shi without blinking. Slowly, its body sank down, as if it was about to leave. Cunning bastard! Yi Chen's senses were very sharp. Although the three-headed snake seemed to be leaving, it was actually a sign that it was about to attack. Without thinking, his body flashed and appeared in front of Wang Shi. Just as Yi Chen expected, the three-headed snake had no intention of leaving. One of its heads shot over with lightning speed. The bright yellow halo twisted violently as Yi Chen punched out. Boom! A couple of water columns exploded on the surface of the lake. Yi Chen took a step back, leaving a deep mark on the deck. The three-headed snake was not having a good time either. The head that was attacking Yi Chen started to shake, feeling dizzy. Chin! Taking out his Star Scar sword, Yi Chen threw out 2 sword attacks in a row, blowing away the other 2 heads of the three-headed snake. The burning sparks were like fireworks. Wang Shi, get back! Yi Chen decided to get serious. Although the three-headed snake was a rank 6 beast tyrant, it was still not as powerful as the Wind Wolf. If he used all of his power, he would have 30% chance of killing it. But of course, the environment was good for the three-headed snake, so it might escape. Wang Shi listened to him and backed out, mumbling to himself, "Why did it attack me?" Boom! Huge waves were rolling. The three-headed snake was very annoyed at Yi Chen for attacking it. The head in the middle opened its mouth, and a blue beast she gathered, forming a light ball. Swallow it. Yichen flew into the air, his star-scar sword bringing up a mysterious sword light and stabbing into the neck of the three-headed snake. He shook his wrist, and a powerful sword chi shot out. The blue light ball shattered, and the three-headed snake raised its head and let out a high-pitched scream. The intense sound wave made the lake surface explode, splashing water everywhere. So powerful. This is a rank 6 beast tyrant, and it was beaten to this state. He looks like he is only 17 or 18 years old. Perhaps he is a top martial genius from one of the super martial institutions in the South Rudra region? It seems possible. I wonder what rank he is on the hidden dragon rank. Most of the people who came to the Snake Island on the boat were warriors, and some of them were clasping Yuan realm warriors. They knew very well that facing a full power attack from the three-headed snake, even late clasping Yuan realm warriors would be killed, not to mention them. That was why they admired Yichen so much. The three-headed snake was a three-headed snake after all, and it also had the bloodline of an ancient beast. Even after being hit by Yichen's lone peak kill, it still had a powerful attacking power. That huge tail stood up from the back of the boat, seeming like it was going to shatter the boat. Sky-shattering clouds. Yichen would not allow it to be so arrogant. He lifted up his star-scar sword and threw out a sword attack. Boom! The three-headed snake did not have the time to attack. Its huge body was shot out along the surface of the lake. It was blown hundreds of meters away within a second. The head in the middle was covered in blood, and there was a deep sword mark on its hard upper jaw. It had almost cut its head in half. Shoo! Performing his separating shadow flying art with all his power, Yichen's legs bounced slightly. His body lengthened in the air, and he arrived above the three-headed snake within a second. He was about to wound the three-headed snake with one attack when a beam of light shot over from the horizon. A clear voice came out of her mouth, "Please show some mercy." With a slight hesitation, Yichen flashed backward, backing out hundreds of meters. Soon, a beautiful figure appeared in the sky behind the three-headed snake. What was surprising was that she had slowly landed on the left head of the three-headed snake. It was a teenage girl, about 17 or 18 years old. She was at the early clasping Yuan realm. Just like Wang's snake, she was wearing black clothes. However, there were gold threads sewn on the edges of her clothes, which made her look decent. Together with her cold and beautiful face and beautiful body, she gave people a mysterious black vibe. He did not know if it was just his imagination, but he sensed an aura that was similar to Wang's snake's. It was the same kind of aura that had been passed down from generation to generation. It was cold and horrifying, a pressure that came from the deepest part of the soul. "Is this snake yours?" Yichen asked. The girl in black said, "Sorry, I did not manage to control it and let it get out." Yichen said again, "Your family name is Wang. How did you know?" The girl in black looked a little confused. "There is a Wang on this ship as well. He seems to be from the same family as you." The girl in black paused a little, then thought of something. "He is from the Wang family of the Black Dragon Empire, right? Bring him out for me to see." "Not yet. Not everyone in the Wang family wants him to come here." Although the Star Region Lake Wang family was mysterious, it did not mean that it was powerful. According to Uncle Zhou, the Star Region Lake Wang family was only a rank 9 family, which was nothing in the Windy Nation. Normally, rank 9 families would not have astral-reaching realm warriors. Only rank 8 families or martial institutions would have astral-reaching realm warriors, unless this Star Region Lake Wang family was like the Sky Cloud Martial School, which had been attacked by a powerful enemy and was badly damaged. With Yichen's current cultivation and power, he really did not need to be afraid of a rank 9 family. The girl in black was more afraid of Yichen's power. She knew the power of the three-headed snake better than anyone. Even peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warriors would not be its opponent. However, it had lost so badly in Yichen's hands. If she had not arrived in time, she might have been killed by him. The disciples of the Wang family of the Black Dragon Empire were under his protection. Those people in the family should not be able to do anything. My name is Wang Mei. I am sorry about the three-headed snake. I will take it away now. Wang Mei took out a few bottles of powder from her storage ring and sprinkled it on the wounded parts of the snake. Help yourself. Flashing his body, Yi Chen returned to the ship. After the girl in black and the three-headed snake left, the ship continued to sail. However, the atmosphere on the ship was getting more and more lively. The three-headed snake had appeared, Yi Chen had beaten it back, and the owner of the three-headed snake had appeared. All of this had shocked and amazed them. Wang's snake watched the girl in black leave. The blood in the deepest part of his body started to boil, and he could not suppress it anymore. Yi Chen clearly sensed that Wang's snake's qi had gotten stronger. His soul power went through his clothes, and he could see the snake tattoo blinking once. Chapter 229. 5 Mountain Condensing Forms, Condense. Inside the not too spacious but very nice and comfortable bedroom, Yi Chen slowly reached out his right hand and tightened his grip. A bright yellow light shot out of his fist, twisting and shrinking like crazy. Eventually, it formed into a bright yellow mountain shadow. A heavy aura poured out, covering the whole bedroom. Dispersing the mountain shadow, Yi Chen let out a breath. I have finally trained the first movement of the 5 mountain condensing forms to completion. Now, I can train the second and third movements. Although each movement of the 5 mountain godly fist art was more powerful than the previous one, in terms of difficulty, the first movement would be the hardest. If the first movement was not trained well, then the next 4 movements would be more powerful. Once the first movement was trained to its limit, then the next 4 movements would be even more powerful. With the 5 mountain godly fist art combined with my physical power, I would not be afraid of high-rank Earth realm martial skills in close combat. Body training martial arts were very rare in the true spirit continent. There were a lot of Earth realm martial arts in the Sky Cloud Martial School, but the most powerful ones were only high-rank mortal realm. Most of the other martial institutions did not even have Earth realm body training martial arts. It was because of luck that Yi Chen was able to find a low-rank Earth realm pure jade body boosting spell. It was because of luck that he had found it. And it was this pure jade body boosting spell that made him rise up. Ever since he had trained the 5th movement of the spell to the King Kong body boosting spell, Yi Chen's physical power had doubled. It was now close to 50,000 pounds of power, which was horrifying among warriors at the same level. Combined with the 5 mountain godly fist art, he would indeed not be afraid of high-rank Earth realm martial skills. Boom! Boom! A knocking sound was heard, and Wang's snake's voice was heard. Brother Yi, we are almost at the Snake Island. Oh, I will be right there. Tidying up his clothes, Yi Chen walked out of the bedroom. On the deck of the ship, Yi Chen lifted his head and looked over. In his sight, an island that was wide at the bottom and narrow at the top fell into his sight. The island was like a snake, with 4 floors. The first floor was the dock, with tons of boats docked next to it. People were coming and going, making it very lively. The second and third floor were a lot of civilian buildings, such as hotels, restaurants, shops, and a lot of houses. As for the 4th floor, it was its own world, which was a huge villa. In the middle of the villa, there was a weirdly shaped mountain, which was the highest part of the island. The Wang family of the Star region Lake Shore has it easy. Yi Chen estimated that this Snake Island had a radius of hundreds of miles. Being able to occupy the whole island and the huge lake area around it, the Wang family was obviously a tyrant in the surrounding area. It was also Wang's snake's first time coming to the Snake Island in the Star region lake. He said in surprise, "This is indeed the main family. It is much more impressive than the Wang family in my Black Ridge city." Yi Chen said, "Once you get to the Snake Island, they probably would not dare to kill you out in the open. But, you can never be too careful. Yi, brother is realm, mountain Yi said. Yi. Mountain Yi Chen said. Yi Chen chuckled. As for what kind of power the Wang family wanted Wang's snake to inherit, it would be a lie if he said he was not curious about it. After all, with his knowledge, He really did not know what kind of power could be inherited directly, without having to accumulate it bit by bit and train hard. The boat. The boat of the boat. And the boat. From the first floor to the second floor, there were 8 doors. Each door was dozens of meters tall and 20 meters wide. Connecting the doors was a high flight of stairs. Once you reached the top, you would reach the second floor. From the second floor to the third floor, there were 4 doors. The people who entered were all wealthy merchants or powerful warriors. There were not many normal people. Outside the only door from the third floor to the fourth floor, Yichen pointed at the luxurious restaurant in front of him and said, "I will stay in this restaurant nearby. If you have any news about the blood sunflower, you can come and let me know. If I am not here, you can ask the second generation to send the news." Uncle Zhou said gratefully, "Warrior Yi, don't worry. I will try my best. Brother Yi, we will go up first." Wang's snake was also very grateful. Without Yi Chen, they would not have been able to arrive at the Snake Island safely. He would never forget this kindness. Yi Chen nodded. After saying goodbye to Yi Chen, the two of them arrived at the door. After being verified by the guards, someone went up to inform them. After a while, a middle-aged man with a high status came down to welcome the two. Seeing them enter the door without any problems, Yi Chen looked away and walked into the restaurant. On the third floor of the restaurant next door, 2 people were standing on the balcony, looking down. One of them was short and skinny, only half the height of a human. He looked to be around 60 years old, and he had a dangerous vibe. The other one was tall and slim, with white skin and cold eyes. He was a young man in his 20s. Ping, Elder Mo and Master Lu failed. The short elder said with a hoarse voice. The young man sneered, "Useless trash. You can't even do this." The short elder touched his chin and chuckled, "Mei's bloodline density is 5-headed snake. Adding him, the 2 spots for entering the forbidden place are already filled. Ping, what do you want to do?" Hearing him, the young man looked angry. Although he was the young master of the Wang family, his bloodline density was only 4-headed snake. If it was before, he would definitely be one of the 2 people who could enter the forbidden place. But today, there were 2 people with 5-headed snake bloodline density. How could he not be angry? He knew very well what kind of benefits it would bring to inheriting the bloodline power. The forbidden place of the Wang family opened once every 50 years. Last time, it was his big grandpa and his third grand aunt who went in. It was said that they were late condensing reality realm warriors before they went in, but after they came out, they had reached the early clasping Yuan realm. Because of the bloodline power, they could fight beyond their cultivation, which made them invincible. There are still 10 days before the forbidden place opens. Within these 10 days, try your best to kill him. As long as there is no solid proof, even if the others know that I did it, they will not do anything to me. After all, the dead are dead, and the living have to continue living. The young man said with a cruel tone. The short elder glanced at the restaurant next door and said with an evil tone, "That young man came with them. He is not weak. Fourth grandpa, I do not want to see this person ever again. Don't worry. Even if you don't say it, I will kill him. Plus, your third grandaunt is against this as well. She wants you to enter the forbidden place. He is only a branch family disciple, and he wants to inherit the bloodline power of the main family. He is just looking for death." The young man laughed viciously. In the Wang family, not everyone agreed with the branch family disciples entering the forbidden place. At least, the third grandaunt, who had a high reputation, supported him. The night came slowly. In the guest room of the restaurant, Yi Chen flipped through the 5 mountain godly fist art, trying to learn the second movement. On the long hallway outside the door, a waiter walked over with a tray of food. All of a sudden, a short figure stood in front of him and signaled for him to keep quiet. The waiter looked at the person and shouted in a low voice, "Fourth grandpa, why are you here?" The short shadow was indeed the short elder who stayed with the young man during the day. He was also the 4th brother of the leader of the Wang family. He warned, "Talk normally later." You don't have to worry about anything else. I understand. The waiter was nervous. Looking at the fourth grandpa, he was afraid that he was going to attack the guest in the guest room. However, he was only a normal waiter living on the Snake Island. He wouldn't dare to say anything, so he would just do what he was told. Arriving at the guest room where Yi Chen was staying, the waiter lightly knocked on the door. "Young warrior, the food and drinks are here for you. Come in." Yi Chen's voice came out. Crack! Pushing the door open, the waiter walked in with fear. The short elder was almost stuck in the waiter's shadow. If one didn't look carefully, one wouldn't be able to see anything. "Put down the food and drink, go over there and ask him if he needs anything else." The short elder's voice was condensed into a single line and poured into the waiter's ears. The waiter complained in his mind. He trembled and walked out of the bedroom. "Young warrior, what else do you need?" "No need." Yi Chen was still immersed in his study. Shoo! Right at this moment, the short elder jumped out of the shadow. He raised his hand, and 3 huge black snakes formed from Jinqi jumped out, attacking towards Yi Chen from a tricky angle. Putting away the manual, Yi Chen tilted his head and sneered, "I have been waiting for you." Break! He threw out a punch, and a bright yellow mountain shadow appeared. All of a sudden, a heavy and aggressive aura covered the entire guest room, attacking towards the short elder. Boom! The huge restaurant shook violently, and the huge black snakes disappeared. "Kid, you have some moves." The short elder grinned. Both of his hands were waving in the air. Countless huge black snakes appeared out of nowhere and surrounded Yi Chen, forming a horrifying snake formation. Separate! Yi Chen's body shook, and his shadow started to move. His real body had already broken through the encirclement and appeared in front of the short elder. At the same time, a horrifying fist also appeared. So fast! The short elder was shocked. He set up layers of Jinqi barriers in front of him. In the middle of the barriers, there was a snake-shaped qi flow, rolling and spinning. Boom! 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 The Jinqi barriers were like paper. Under Yi Chen's punch, they were broken layer by layer. In the end, it was stopped by the short elder's arms. However, even though he was able to stop it, that horrifying mountain-like power still hit him, blowing him away. Crack! The wall was broken, and the short elder was blown out onto the street outside of the restaurant. Shoo! Extending his body, Yi Chen chased after him. Inside the broken guest room, the waiter's face was pale. "Oh no, this is bad. If something happens to the fourth master in the restaurant, I will be the one to suffer." The 3rd floor of the Snake Island was very crowded. Even at night, it was still noisy, and the lights were still on. The short elder broke through the wall and landed on the street awkwardly. God knows how many people were startled, including the patrolling warriors of the Wang family. "Fourth master, what happened to you? Who dares to mess around on the Snake Island? Surround this place." To be able to blow the fourth master away, he must be very powerful. "We should inform the powerful warriors of the Wang family and ask them to attack together and kill this person." The few patrolling warriors nearby had just started to move when Yi Chen, who was wearing blue robes, jumped over, throwing out a punch towards the short elder. That heavy and brutal fist aura seemed to have frozen the entire space. The bright yellow mountain shadow expanded rapidly, covering the elder who was panicking and trying to kill him with one punch. Chapter 230. Brat, how dare you kill the fourth master of the Wang family on the Snake Island? Do you want to die? Fourth master, let's work together to kill him so that we don't get into any trouble. Kill! As a rank 9 family, the Wang family controlled the Snake Island and the surrounding lake area. Naturally, a lot of powerful warriors came to the Wang family to become guest masters or guests. Right then, seeing that the fourth master of the Wang family was in danger, 3 arrogant late-clasping Yuan realm warriors jumped out immediately, blocking in front of Yi Chen. The combined power of 3 late-clasping Yuan realm warriors was unimaginably powerful. Plus, Yi Chen was in the air, so he could not borrow any power. Therefore, his fist power had not reached its limit yet. Therefore, it had been blocked by the three. Of course, the three of them did not have it easy either. They had backed out 7 to 8 steps, shattering the hard stone floor. Such a powerful fist power. This guy is dangerous. The three looked at each other with a serious look. Seeing that help had arrived, the short elder looked proud. He pointed at Yi Chen and yelled, "This man came to our Wang family's Snake Island with bad intentions. After being interrogated by me, he tried to kill me to keep my mouth shut. He really does not respect the Wang family and the Snake Island at all." Hearing him, one of them had a bad look on his face. "Although you are powerful, this is the Snake Island. You cannot do whatever you want here. I suggest you just give up and go to the Wang family to ask for forgiveness. Indeed, if you give up, we can spare your life. Young man, you are so powerful at such a young age. Why do you want to die? I have a Jin Qi suppressing pellet here. If you take it, I can save your life." Landing in the middle of the street, Yi Chen sneered, "Today, you will all die." If the Wang family was a rank 8 family with an astral-reaching realm warrior, Yi Chen might be a bit scared and run away right after killing them. But a rank 9 family did not have the power to keep him here. In his eyes, the short elder and the three were already dead. The short elder yelled, "Arrogant! Wait until you fall into my hands, you will have to suffer a lot. Remember, there are some things that you cannot say." "Really?" Stepping on the ground, Yi Chen's fist aura increased to an unprecedented level. His body flashed as he performed the first movement of the 5 mountain godly fist art, the 5 mountain consolidation, directly attacking the 4 of them. Ka la la. The street couldn't withstand the heavy fist pressure. With Yi Chen as the starting point, it started to crack layer by layer. Some of the weaker martial artists were originally standing on both sides of the street, watching. Under the astonishing fist pressure, they couldn't help but fall into the buildings behind them. Screams and shouts could be heard everywhere. Mountain-shattering spear. Wave-cleaving blade of Zhangjiang. Tiger's soul monarch fist. Snake King, come out of the cave. Facing Yi Chen's punch, the short, skinny, middle-aged man and the other 3 did not dare to be negligent. They all displayed their best skills and joined forces to resist Yi Chen. Rumble. A terrifying shockwave erupted on the street. The buildings on both sides of the street were covered in cracks and collapsed with a loud bang. Gravel splashed in all directions, covering a radius of several hundred meters. Run! Ah! What the fuck is going on? Late clasping Yuan realm martial artists fighting in a crowded area would definitely be a disaster for most of the people. The good thing was that most of the people on the 3rd floor of the Snake Island were not weak martial artists. Some of the rich businessmen also had the protection of powerful martial artists. Therefore, there weren't too many casualties. Pooh! Among the 4 of them, the 2 weaker ones puked out blood mist. Yi Chen, who was standing on the ground, was way too horrifying. That fist attack looked normal and did not have any scary sound or light effects, but it was like it contained a mountain. It had not only shattered the attacks of the 4 of them, it had also wounded the 4 of them. The short elder and the other one were not feeling well either. Their faces looked a bit pale. "You 3, please wait for a bit longer. Powerful warriors from our Wang family will be here soon. By then, killing this brat will be as easy as blowing off dust." The short elder tried to cheer them up. The 3 thought about it and agreed. This was the Snake Island, which was under the control of the Wang family. How could they let Yi Chen be so arrogant? As long as the powerful warriors arrived, things would be much easier. Plus, they had the power to protect the 4th master of the Wang family, so they would definitely be rewarded. The first one. After wounding 4 people with 1 punch, Yi Chen's body stretched out as he shot out. Kill! Don't let him get close. The 4 of them did not care about their wounds anymore. They combined their powers and shot out a wave of powerful qi. Separate. Performing his separating shadow flying art, human shadows flashed everywhere. Yi Chen's real body flew out of the chi wave and arrived in front of the one on the left. Ah! I am the guest warrior of the Wang family. How dare you kill me? It was indeed the one who had cursed the most before. Right then, he was facing Yi Chen. His mind was broken, and he tried his best to fight back, trying to survive. Boom! Without any hesitation, Yi Chen punched out his opponent's head. That heavy fist power had shattered the red and white brain matter, turning it into nothingness. The second one. Yi Chen looked at the other one. Being stared at by Yi Chen, that person looked even worse. He yelled, "You crazy monster! You killed innocent people! You will die a horrible death!" Yi Chen did not waste any time. There was no need to waste time talking to dead people. He would just kill them. As for the consequences, he could handle it. Crack! That person's waist had been broken, and his body had been cut in half. The first movement of the five mountain godly fist art was getting better and better in Yi Chen's hands. Added with his almost 50,000 pounds of physical strength, a late-clasping Yuan realm warrior would not be able to handle one punch from him. He might not even be able to handle half of it. And that was only the first movement. If he could learn the second and third movement, it would be even more powerful. The third one. Before his voice had even arrived, Yi Chen had already arrived. His right fist had been thrown out at a speed that was a couple of times faster than the speed of sound. That bright yellow light was like lightning in the vacuum. This person was not weak, and could be counted as an experienced late-clasping Yuan realm warrior. However, he had run into Yi Chen. Under that heavy and brutal fist power, all kinds of defenses were useless. He tried to block it with his arms, but they were broken. His protective Zhenqi layer exploded, but it was shattered. Pooh! Before the fist even landed, a huge hole appeared on his chest. Pieces of flesh spilled out of his mouth, and blood rained down from the sky. With a shake of his body, the blood rain had been pushed away. Yi Chen was still perfectly untouched. How is this possible? 3 late-clasping Yuan realm warriors. They could not even handle one punch from him. They were all killed easily. The third one who died was called the Zhangjiang blade artist. I saw him kill a rank 6 beast with one blade attack. He was quite famous in the Zhangjiang area, but even he could not compete with him. What a shame. He was so powerful at such a young age. He would definitely shine in the future. But the powerful warriors of the Wang family would not let him go easily. Indeed. The Wang family has 2 powerful warriors. One is the current leader, and the other is the current leader's third sister. Both of them are known to be invincible within the same realm. There are barely any clasping Yuan realm warriors who could compete with them. As long as one of them comes out, this guy would not be able to escape. Things are getting more and more interesting. Let's watch from afar, in case the Wang family gets angry at us. Hundreds of meters in radius had turned into a no-man's land. Hundreds of meters away, a lot of warriors had gathered together, discussing among themselves. Almost no one was optimistic about Yi Chen's chances. Hearing everyone's words, Yi Chen sneered. Invincible within the same realm? You are looking down on all the warriors in the world too much. Invincible within the same realm is not that easy to say. Only clasping Yuan realm warriors who could compete with early astral reaching realm warriors could be called invincible within the same realm. His eyes landed on the last person, the short elder. Yi Chen said, "Do you want to know it yourself, or do I have to kill you myself?" How dare you? The short elder was furious. Then, I have to kill you myself. Yi Chen shook his head. His body flashed as he jumped towards the elder. 100 snake cage. The short elder was extremely anxious. He was afraid that he would not be able to wait for the Wang family warriors to arrive. In the face of death, he pushed all of his Zhenqi to its limit, forming countless huge black snakes in a 5-meter radius around his body. The snakes coiled around each other, their heads and tails connected, forming a defensive snake spell. Even with that, the elder's body shook, and a layer of black light appeared out of his body. It was the protective Jinqi layer that had been enhanced by a low-rank defensive weapon. Even people with higher cultivation than him would have a hard time breaking through it. After doing all that, the short elder had calmed down a bit. He did not think that Yi Chen would be able to break through 2 layers of defense in a short period of time. As long as he could drag it out for a while, he would be able to last until the Wang family warriors arrived. Crack! A fist shattered all of his thoughts. The defensive snake spell had been shattered by Yi Chen's 5 mountain godly fist art. It had been shattered immediately, and then the light layer that had been enhanced by the low-rank weapon had been shattered as well, making a loud noise. How dare you kill my 4th brother? Today will be the day you die. Right then, an old female voice was heard. The cruelty in that voice had chilled a lot of people's hearts, making them take a step back unconsciously. The 3rd lady of the Wang family is here. Someone yelled. Yi Chen did not seem to have heard the warning. He increased his fist power by 30%, landing on the short elder's chest. Crack! The low-rank defensive weapon was extremely hard. With Yi Chen's attack power, he would not be able to break through it. However, it did not mean that the short elder would be able to escape death. That horrifying fist power had been transmitted through the low-rank defensive weapon. Even though it had been weakened by 20 to 30%, it was still extremely powerful. Only a bone-cracking sound could be heard as the short elder's body twisted and exploded, turning into countless pieces of flesh. The incoming person was extremely fast, arriving on the street within a second. It was an old lady in her 60s, wearing luxurious clothes. Her face was wrinkled, and seeing what had happened, the killing intent on her body shot up. She said word by word, "Today, you will die for sure. No one will be able to save you." A shocking scene occurred. Behind her, a black stream of air surged and quickly formed a huge 3-headed snake phantom. The 3-headed snake was vivid and lifelike. Each of its scales was the size of a fist and shone with a cold light. The 6 snake eyes were red, like red gems in the dark night, without the slightest emotion. Hiss! Hiss! The snake's tongue flicked in and out. The 3-headed snake did not give people the feeling that it was made from Jinqi, but a living beast. A horrifying qi spread out in the air. 3-headed snake. Yi Chen frowned slightly. He had sensed a hidden qi from her that was similar to Wang's snake and Wang Mei's. It was an ancient qi that could shake souls. No wonder she was known to be invincible among all the clasping Yuan realm warriors. Will you break your own limbs and let me take you back to the Wang family to be punished, or will I capture you myself and let you suffer the most painful torture in the world? The 3rd lady of the Wang family stared at Yi Chen as if she was looking at a dead man. Her eyes were filled with evil and killing intent. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.